Hello, my name is Kārlis Apalups and I'm the project expert for Secure EU, a Erasmus Plus cooperation founded by the European Union. And today my task is to tell you about human resilience, fear, indifference and relaxation. But for us to talk about human resilience, we have to look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And this hierarchy of needs is of course presented as a pyramid, because all of the humans' needs starts with physiological, such as breathing, eating, sleeping, and so on and so on. And the second part is security feeling and safety feeling. After that comes social belonging, esteem, and self-actualization. But to look at all of these different needs of human, we have to understand that all of those needs also have their own dimension of security and their own dimension of existence. This is why there is such a diverse field of security in the world. We know about international security, national security, public security. Then we can go even deeper down into corporate security, cybersecurity, information security, or just as personal security or psychological security. All of these different fields of security allow us to look at different needs locally and globally. So, to build human resilience, we have to understand that also humans are weak in different areas, different domains, and in different needs. So we will today talk about the three biggest things, how human resilience is affected. But first of all, we have to understand, when are we aware of threats? In security, this is called security awareness. And the precise definition about this is security awareness is people's knowledge and attitude towards protecting their physical and information assets. So, diving deeper again into this definition, we have to look at the word awareness itself. What does it mean to be aware? It means to be being coherently aware of oneself and one's surroundings while awake, conscious, and not under hypnosis or in an eclipse of consciousness caused by illness, drugs, or other factors. So in essence, awareness and security awareness just means that you have to be aware, alive, conscious, and without other external or internal factors affecting your judgment. So it's knowledge and it's attitude, how you act towards different knowledge. And to build resilience, it takes for us to overcome three separate tasks and separate factors that affect and cloud our judgment, our knowledge, and our attitude. And that is fear, that is indifference, and that is relaxation. When we talk about fear, there is an interesting study which was done in 2021, so during pandemic. It was called Still Enduring from Home. It was done by Malwarebytes. So it was about fear fatigue. Fear fatigue was defined as demotivation to follow recommended safe behaviors that occurs gradually over time and is influenced by multiple emotions, experience, and perceptions. At that time, approximately 80 respondents responded that they feel fear fatigue. It means that we have been in so big fear for such a long time that we start to lose our attention to the fear, to the stressful factors, and we start to not follow safe and secure procedures. So how can we train ourselves to be more fearless, to overcome our fear, but to do it in a safe way? There is something called a prolonged exposure therapy that is usually used in psychotherapy to help patients with extreme phobias, with PTSD, with social anxiety, and other stress or fear-induced issues. And this prolonged exposure therapy basically says that if you are incrementally and gradually approaching a fear, you can overcome it without feeling much stress. So I will give you an example. When a person is afraid of needles, for example, and he goes to therapy, what the therapist usually does is just shows a picture of a needle and talks with the person about how he feels about needles, how does he imagine the needle feeling, what is his feelings in that moment. When some sessions have been done with just a picture, then you can move forward with an actual needle being placed on the table under some protection, under some cover, just so that there would be a psychological barrier between the person and the needle. And then again, the therapist asks, how does the person feel about it? What are their emotions, and how does he think the needle can affect him? After this has been done, again, the cover or the protection can be taken away and just the needle can be left alone with the person. And then the person can start to gradually touch the needle, start to play with it, talk about it again, and then gradually overcomes their fear of sharp objects or needles. And this is an example which gives us an introduction to how everyone can overcome fear, so that our judgment and awareness is not affected. We know, and this is where is the knowledge part previously mentioned. We know that that risky things and threats are always around us. But our attitude is the one that helps us to keep doing correct things in a safe manner, but overcoming the obstacles. So I will give you an example from my life. When I was afraid of heights, I'm actually still afraid, but I am less afraid. I started to do mountaineering and climbing up walls. This helped me lessen my feeling of fear of heights and overcome this. I was afraid of public speaking, although now I'm in front of you in a camera, but I started to go to acting classes to put myself gradually in a situation where I would be exposed to public speaking again. So this is a tip that you can take for yourself to build your resilience over fear. You can start by incremental steps, overcoming fear of something. Next factor that we go to is indifference, or better explained as carelessness and just ignorance. So when person says, I don't care, it's very useful for bad people, right? Because there is a famous quote that says, everything a evil needs is just good people not to care. And so the next part is, how do we make ourselves care or not care? Well, when we look at physiological processes of humans, and again maybe at the Maslow level of not social but human needs, we know that Maslow said that first at the base is physiological needs, so eating, sleeping, and breathing. So when person thinks about caring or not caring, they always outweigh this almost in mathematical sense. They think about, if I care, will this cost me more energy than when I don't care? And most of us know that people sometimes tend not to help people on the street. They tend not to pick up trash on the ground, or they throw themselves on the ground. And this is just their mathematic that they think that it will be more energy consuming for them to help that person who has gotten sick on the street, to help pick up the trash or not to even throw it down, right? But that is where we have to work as a society, as a corporation, or individually on ourselves to tell that we have to put in the mathematics different equations or different examples. So when person, for example, on the street sees that something bad has happened to another person, he thinks, oh, this is nothing to do with me. But if we try to explain to the person that that might be your cousin, your wife, your children, your parents, then they understand that, or they should understand at least, that if I help this person this time, somebody else will help somebody close to me, or even me. And in that case, they start to understand that this time energy consuming will be better than not acting, right? And these are examples which you can apply also to organizations by explaining that culture of caring is actually energy consuming, not energy expending. So we have to make issues personal for everyone. We have to make them understand that, for example, in an organization or corporative environment, we have to explain that culture of caring means that we can pay better wages, that we do better job, that you can have less stressful work, and that our partners like to work with us. And in a government institution, of course, again, the society lives better, we live better, and when we start to explain these rather simple things and make them personal to each of us or our colleagues, then they start to understand a bit different this motivation of indifference and start to care about stuff more. Also, we have to involve others in the process of creation, right? Because they have to feel a feeling that they own something. Because when they own something, they also care for it. That is also in the same sense that if they see somebody on the street who has gotten sick, because they don't think that it affects them, that's why they don't try to help. But if they know that helping this person makes our society better and that somebody will come to help him also when he will be in a need, then they start to think differently. So yes, we have to motivate those who are who care, who are not careless. And the third one is relaxation, and this is not meant as relaxation for when you have gotten home after a long day of work and you want to just relax watching TV. No, this is a relaxation that happens over time when we are also a long time working in a, let's say, complex situation, such as in heavy machinery or forest industry, and we start to think, oh, I understand all the safety rules, nothing bad has happened to me, so I can start to bend them, I can start to not wear my helmet, my gloves or something like that. But there is interesting statistics from International Labour Organization which say that each day an average of 6,000 people die as a result of work-related accidents or disease that has been gotten during working, right? So this means that each year those are 2.2 million people who die to work-related diseases or accidents. From these 2.2 million, 350,000 are directly workplace accidents. So this means when people are doing something bad, something not safe, or in a not safe manner, and maybe not following procedures, and they in result cause death to themselves or to others. And the interesting thing about this is that in the European Union, for example, the incidence rate for non-fatal accidents, so those who do not cause death, is 50% higher among young workers than among any other age category. And we might think, why is this so? Well, first of all, because the young person is more stressful in their new environment. They are not yet up to date about all the instructions, about all the safety rules. And this is gradually becoming less of a problem because more and more safety training is happening. But if we look at the oldest age group, the European Union has noted that the incident rate of fatal accidents at work was more than twice the rate of the youngest age group. So it means that older people who have been working in this field for a longer time, they have started to feel the results of relaxation. And that is where they understand that they start to do some rule bending, they don't follow safety regulations, and so on and so on. So relaxation is another issue, right? But it's all about intensity, because average attention span of an adult human is 20 minutes. And imagine you have to work 8 hours per day and you can only keep your attention for 20 minutes straight, right? So of course it's not that simple. But what can help in avoiding relaxation is trying to change our work pace, trying to change our work day. So for example, if you work in a factory and you do a monotonous job, it would be good to advise your employer, first of all, if they can, maybe to rotate employees between the positions for them to also learn something new, but also for you to avoid being relaxed at the machine that you are already used to, and so you won't be inclined to not follow safety rules. Those are the three big things that we can take away from this. So fear, overcoming fear with prolonged exposure, therapy or methods, indifference and making caring personal, and relaxation by just making our day more, let's say, diversified, and our work more diversified, and keeping our attention span at the maximum. And some two additional resources in the ending. If you like to read books about human resilience, then I would suggest David Goggins and Can't Hurt Me. But if you like to watch movies, then A Bleed for This is a great movie that you can look about human resilience. That was Kārlis Apalops talking to you from Secure EU project. Thank you.